Hey there, traders. Welcome back for episode 51 from the StockBandit.tv. I'm always glad that you made it and hope that your weekend's been a good one. Now, as is always the case on Sundays here, we want to start off the trading week by taking a look at the major averages, seeing what the big picture looks like, and then, of course, we can go with an individual trading plan from there, having considered that most individual stocks are going to take their cues from the overall price action, and they're going to be influenced by what the major averages do. So now, taking a look at the indices here, we've got the NASDAQ, S&P, and Dow 30 stocks up here, indices I should say rather. Last week we did see the bulls put together their sixth straight week after turning the corner back here in early March. So it's been quite a ride here, and they continue to build on recent strength. During that time, all we've seen is a 2-day pullback at most. So we have yet to see anything more than just 2 consecutive down days. Essentially, every little dip that we see is getting bought, and the buyers are stepping in quite eagerly. Now, we are currently at some important areas here, and if I zoom out a little bit here on the chart, the NASDAQ last week was able to clear the January high, which was at 1665. Now, we haven't cleared it by much, and we certainly haven't run away from that level. In fact, we're only about 8 points above it. But essentially right now we're testing that area there, and so it could be an interesting week to see if any more meaningful profit taking kicks in. We finished last week with 3 solid gains to close out the week, but after 6 weeks on the way up, it certainly wouldn't come as any surprise to see this market finally take a rest. So we're going to be observing this 1665 level quite closely. Now, moving on to the S&P 500, this area right up here was a late January high and also early February resistance. That's right at 875. It's also been mentioned here a number of times. Last Friday, we topped out at exactly 875. So certainly are testing that area right now in the S&P 500. We did back off that level a little bit on Friday to finish at 869 and change, but volume was solid here, and at the same time, not a big net gain for this average, only up 0.5% on Friday, but nonetheless, we are up 6 weeks in a row, and now having reached an important resistance level, it should be quite interesting to see this week whether or not the bulls are able to really punch through that level and keep this move going, or if instead they finally decide they could blame some earnings news or anything along those lines to essentially begin booking a little bit of profits, because it's certainly been quite a run off those lows, especially for those who bought early on. Now finally, taking a look at the Dow 30, we have been watching this 8350 level, which was support back in December, also turned into resistance in January and early February. So as this index rallies back up toward that level, that's a logical spot to see a battle take place. We're not there yet. This one still has a little bit of a ways to go, about 220 points before that 8350 zone is tagged. But at the same time, the Dow has been weaker than the other indices, so it would come to be no surprise if this index struggles to reach that level, especially if the NASDAQ and S&P start to see some profit taking kick in. Now, as always, I do appreciate you joining me for this episode, and I will be back soon with more videos, but in the meantime, trade like a bandit.